All right, my friends, you can see that today we are going to be talking about telling time. So I have a clock in front of me, and we're going to talk a little bit about how to tell time to the hour and just some of the words that go with the clock. So the first thing we're going to look at is that, of course, this clock, as we've seen in school, that you probably see at your house, is it starts at 1 and goes all the way to 12. This clock has two hands. It has a short hand and it has a long hand. So when I look at my short hand and long hand, my short hand is called an hour. And my long hand goes with the minutes. Now, do you see how the word hour is so much shorter than the word minutes? This makes sense because the short hand goes with the hour and the long hand goes with the minutes. It matches the size of the word. So our hour hand is the small hand, our minute hand is the long hand. And sometimes that can be hard to see on the clock, but look where it's pointing to. Here's my hour hand, and see how it doesn't quite touch the edge of the clock. But my minute hand over here is going all the way to the edge. Now, when we're talking about hours, they just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. When we're talking about the minutes, if you look in between each hour, there are some little lines. Those stand for each minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So when you're counting to find out how many minutes something is, you would actually count by 5. So this is one reason why it's important to be able to count by 5s. If we count by 5s, we count 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, hard to see there, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and 60. Once you get to 60, it starts again. And again, it goes 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and 60. So today we're talking about telling our time to the hour, which means everything is going to say o'clock. Now, you could write a time in words, or you could write it in numbers. So if I'm writing the time 3 o'clock, I would write 3 o'clock in words. So it looks like this, 3 o'clock. Now, if I wanted to write 3 o'clock in numbers, I write my 3 and I use my colon. The colon is super important because it divides your hour from your minutes. And we put 0, 0 for o'clock, so 3 o'clock. Another example might be 10 o'clock. If I want to show 10 o'clock in numbers, I write my 10 with my colon to divide my hours from my minutes, and 0, 0 for o'clock, 10 o'clock. Now, when I'm looking at my actual clock, I'm going to be using it to show different times. So on this clock, since it's a clock I actually have from home, if I turn my clock over, there's this little wheel here, and I twist it, and it twists the hours like this. So here is a time we just talked about, and this is going to be 10 o'clock. I know it's 10 o'clock because my shorthand points to the 10, my long hand points to the 12. When it's straight up to the 12, that's o'clock. So it's 10 o'clock. Let me try another one. All right. Now you can see my short hand is pointing to the 4. My long hand is pointing to the 12. So we have 4 o'clock. Again, when that minute hand, that long hand points to the 12, it's o'clock. So 4 o'clock. Let me try another one. Let me go back a little. There we go. Shorthand, pointing to the 8. Longhand pointing to the 12. So our time is 8 o'clock. And remember how we write that. 8 colon o'clock. 8 o'clock. Okay, let's try a couple more before we stop. Here's a good one. Getting closer. There we go. So here we have shorthand pointing to the 2, longhand pointing to the 12. 2 o'clock. Now this one I'm going to do next sometimes tricks people because they think, they get confused because you'll see the hands are, look at those hands. It almost looks like there's only one, but really when I kind of twist that clock there, you can kind of see there are 2. They're one on top of the other. So that means that our shorthand is pointing to the 12, and our longhand is also pointing to the 12. So we know that it's 12, and then for the minutes, since it's pointing to the 12, it's o'clock. 12 o'clock. Now here's another one that people sometimes mix up just because they don't pay very close attention to the hands. So this is really important. You've got to make sure your shorthand is pointing to the hour. So this one, they're going straight up and down actually. You've got to really pay attention to shorthand and longhand. And from looking at this, I can see my shorthand is pointing to the 6. Longhand is pointing to the 12. So this time we are at 6 o'clock. The reason that's confusing sometimes for people is sometimes they think it's the other way. They think the shorthand is pointing to the 12 and they say 12 o'clock. So you've got to remember this one, because a shorthand is pointing, that always tells you the shorthand, the first number. So there we have our 6 o'clock. So today, guys, you are going to be working on giving Ms. Rodriguez a time. I'm going to show you a time on your assignment, and you're going to find the clock that matches that. So good luck, and I'll see you soon.